Hello one and all, and welcome to this very first of its kind virtual book launch event. My name is Kevin Bully, and I am the president and CEO of the research and advisory firm NERAC. Our analysts, scientists, and engineers to conduct research supporting the innovation needs and new product development needs of companies large and small all across the globe. Ripi and I have been working collaboratively now for nearly a decade, and I have experienced many of the principles and practices, the teachings that he's delivered in these very important books, as both an observer and as a participant working closely with Ripi. I am very glad to see him share this content with the world and proud to call him my friend. When Ripi reached out to me, inviting me to moderate his book launch event, I immediately accepted, and then began to wonder what a virtual book launch event might entail. It is a first for all of us. Welcome, and very glad to have you with us on this event and journey. We have participants from all over the globe, many different countries. A special thank you to those who are participating from India due to the time difference. I know that you've recognized now that as you entered the conference, you were immediately placed on mute. Your microphones will be unmuted for the Q&A portion of the event, but I encourage you to use the chat function that is available on the platform to submit questions or comments to Ripi, the moderator, or to Prashant directly. The proceedings today, the event the book launch event, will cover a conversation with our author, Ripi, some reader perspectives from a number of you who have already read one or more of the books, and then we'll open the floor to engage with the author for as long as you like, although we'll officially end the formal presentations at 30 minutes past the mark. I'm pleased to kick things off with a question for Ripi that sets the stage and provides us with the background that we need in order to better understand what comes next. So let's begin, Ripi, with what inspired you to create this content, and please share your journey with us.
Well, Kevin, thank you for facilitating this session for me, and thank you all from all over the world. For some, it's very early in the morning on the West Coast, and for some, it's really late in the evening from India and probably from Singapore as well. So thank you all for joining. And this is first for me, not just this event, even the book is a first one for me. Even the book launch is first for me. And I was telling Kevin earlier during preparation that, having given so many keynote addresses, I'm probably very comfortable. But this one, I was a little bit anxious as to how this would go. But Kevin put me at ease, as always, for the last decade, and hopefully we'll have fun as we go through this. So Kevin, the question, how did I get to creating this content, and what inspired me and my journey to this point? See, we all actually know innovation is hard. It's a little bit nebulous for many people, or for most people. And many of us actually think that innovation is meant for a gifted few. Well, you know what? That's not true. It is an art. And like any other art, you can practice, you can learn music, you can learn painting, you can learn sculpting, you can also learn innovation. But just like any other art, you need to have a coach. And ever since I've been coaching for the few years, I wanted to package my coaching into some form of a document that I can spread out. In the audience, I right now have Brian Mattimore and Aaron, and they've all written books on innovation. So when I look at them and I said, I also want to do that. So the inspiration came from my peer authors as well. Now, looking at what's happening in the industry, we're going through the fourth industrial revolution, and business leaders need something to reduce the risk as they go through this change. And that was not enough. And suddenly in February, March this year, we were hit by COVID. And now suddenly innovation is no more an option or something that you should think in addition to strategy. It has to be a part of your strategy. It is at a stage where you must know how to innovate. Every business leader needs to know how to innovate. The ISO organization also realized the same thing a few years ago, along with the Industrial Revolution announcement, and they started writing standards around innovation management. So there are 56,000 series out there, but that standard is subject to interpretation. So all of that piece drove me to actually put something in form of books that people can pick up and read it and deploy it. And oh, by the way, this is not the only book on innovation, and this is not the first one. There are a few hundred out there, and they all bring certain perspective. But this set has kind of found a little niche in terms of going from the why, the how, the what of innovation. So it sort of brings another perspective to what already exists in the marketplace. I've been on this journey for about 25 years in academia and industry, and 6 years of innovation coaching. So it was about time for me to write it and put it out there. So that's what brought me here. But also let me before we go to the second question, I would like to acknowledge a few people who helped me in this journey up until now. I think Webber was a big instrument in bringing the book to its current shape where it is right now. He helped me all the way from table of contents to validating the models to proofreading. He's been with me throughout. Then I have Prashant here. He's actually converted the important engagement pieces of the book into an online selfie platform so the readers can engage and track how they have been doing and how they have implemented the learnings from the book and how it helped them change their business. So Prashant, thanks for setting that selfie up, and I invite everyone to try it out. We'll send you the link. I also have Maya Ramaswamy here. She did the cover pages for me, and Maya and I go back to 1986 when we were in school, and she was an artist. She won a sketching competition where I was a facilitator in the function, and I've known her since then. So she stepped up and helped me with the cover pages. They're pencil sketches, very different than traditional high-tech, high-color books. So thank you all for doing it. My ISO peers have been very helpful in helping me with the content. All of my customers, the content has been validated with their engagement because they kind of put their faith in me and they said, we'll try it, and we tried and we learned together. So I'm grateful to my customers as well. Let me not forget some of the pivots that I took. Anne Gowdy was a pivoting person back in 2005, and she helped me transform from being an engineer to a manager, and this whole journey started after that place. Kevin, I got to thank you for all the emotional support you give me, Rob Berman, Bill McLean, Vijay Goyal, of course, my wife. So there's a lot that has gone in behind the book. If I go on, I'll probably get a little emotional here, so I'll stop now and give it back to you, Kevin. Kevin, you are on mute.
Kevin, I think you need to unmute yourself. Can you try unmuting yourself?
Yeah. Very good. Works now. Thank you. Ripi, I can well appreciate that the journey that you've undertaken is one that you've undertaken surrounded by supporters and friends, and glad to be counted among them. In a virtual launch environment such as this, you've given us a series of 4 books. I would have expected to have book number 1, book number 2, launch book number 3, and so on. Why 4? Why not 1 or even 10?
That's a good question, Kevin. I had no intentions of doing 4 books. I started with 1. But once I put everything I knew about innovation, from the purpose for innovation to executing to delivery, it became a little heavier. And then a couple of my customers whom I gave it for advanced reading, they all came back with the thought saying, Ripi, you need to break it into pieces. And break it into pieces so that each piece can be used by different audience. The purpose is for the C-level people, and the execution is for the engineering team, and then the process is for the managers. So why don't you break it into different pieces targeted for different demographics of an organization so that each one can pick what they need. And if an organization wants to actually go through change, they can take all the books together and distribute across different people in the company. And you know, they at least will be talking the same language and be able to deploy it. So that's where I got to 4 books as against 1 or 10. By the way, 10 is an interesting number. That is my goal. I will get to 10. There are more coming after this. And then the question was, how do you connect them? I think Warren suggested that I could provide a summary of each volume in other volumes. So I've kind of done that. That way, each book can stand on its own if somebody wants to use it. But for an organizational transformation, you got to take the entire set and use the whole thing.
Thank you. That was helpful. You know, the driving force behind this, what is it, Ripi, that you hope to accomplish?
Well, Kevin, you and I have been together for a decade, and you know the purpose. You know the purpose of my practice, right? My practice is focused on promoting purposeful innovation, right? So I just wanted to spread the word on why, what, how of innovation. Like I said before, you know, I hope that this book actually allows me to scale up from an influence perspective. You know, most of the time when I sit with business coaches, we talk about scaling means more employees, more revenues. You know, I'm not the kind of a guy who's looking at creating a massive organization with hundreds of employees, but I want to scale up in a different sense. I want to scale with influence. So I want people and companies to pick this up, adopt it, and practice it, and use it. So that's my purpose, and that's what I hope to accomplish with this book. On the cover page, it does say a small statement. It says, this book has everything for a few and something for everyone. It's kind of a reference book. So if you already know a lot about innovation, you can pick up a few bits and pieces here and there. But if you're just starting your journey, it should give you everything you want. So that's what I hope to accomplish with this.
Thank you. So based on that response then, Ripi, with respect to the books, are you giving away all or just a part of your experience-based advice? Does this mean that if I purchase the books, I no longer need you?
Well, so I have put everything I know. So as far as, you know, the world is still so large, the scope of innovation is still so large. I don't know all of it. But whatever portion I knew, I put it out there in the book. I'm not holding anything back in. And I hope that as I learn more in the next few years, you know, revisions will come, will bring more to you. To me, it's more about sharing what I know. It's not about giving away, right? Knowledge is something you can only share. You give it, but you still have it. And as people read it, if they give me feedback, it's only going to make me smarter. And you know, the next set of editions would be even better. So yes, I have put everything I knew up until now into this.
You know, as long as I've known you, you have always managed to confound me, to present me with insights and challenges and sometimes surprises. And in my next question, you have surprised me because this series of books contains an expiry date. I've not seen anything like that before. Why would you include an expiry date on your books?
It's again a learning from real life. In 2006, our executive at Pratt asked us to read the book Good to Great. And it was like mandated, and we picked it up and we followed it. Today, if I pick that book, Good to Great, it does not make sense. You know, you realize that it talked about success stories from the 70s and 80s, and it talked about management practices that really were not valid after 2008. Now we have another popular management book called The Four, which talks about Facebook, Amazon, Google, and Apple. You know, if you pick that book, it will tell you how they became successful. But if you follow that recipe, you cannot become the next Amazon and the next Google. It does not work. See, most management books, which are written based on experience, they talk about what worked in the past, and we hang on to that, right? But at some point, those business models are not valid anymore. Post-COVID, you know, you must think of every business book, is it still valid in the current context or not? So I put the content and I said, you know, all 4 volumes have different expiry dates. I kind of anticipated some of them will last 3 years, some of them will last 5 years. I really don't want people to pick this book 6 years from now and say, oh, Ripi Singh wrote this book, we must follow this. No, that book has already expired. Either pick up some other author or pick up my revised version, but not the one that's there. It's old stuff. Don't take it anymore. It's innovation. Got to look for the new stuff.
Great, great answer, Ripi. When we spoke, you had advised me that you were committing the royalty from the books towards COVID or ocean cleanup. And can you share what was your motivation behind that?
So, Kevin, like I mentioned before, I'm not looking at scaling up through profits or standard business financial metrics and stuff, right? Making profit out of the book was never the purpose. The purpose is to educate, to make people aware of how to go about doing innovation. And by the way, when people buy the book, it's not my money, it's their money. It's buyers and readers' money. And if I'm a purposeful coach and I coach my clients that you must include things like sustainability into your business objective, right? I refuse to take clients anymore if they're not willing to engage in a conversation on sustainability, because that is so important. So if that's important and that's what I want to preach, I must practice that. So if a reader's money is coming into it, it doesn't come to me. It goes to ocean cleanup or COVID recovery. I added COVID recovery recently. When I started, I was only focused on ocean cleanup. But yes, I mean, and I want to keep it for all the books I publish for as long as I live and write. I mean, that's what I mean to do that when I preach that.
So the content, the lessons learned, the teachings, the principles, the value contained in these volumes is arguably priceless. But how do readers get a hold of a copy? Where can they find your books?
Well, it's available on publisher's website. It's available on Amazon as well. I think my self-publisher partner has also put this book on 5 or 6 other websites, but I don't know about that. Kindle for people around the world. I've actually priced it really low on the Kindle because I want people to read it. It's also available through Kindle Unlimited, which means, even I won't make any money for the ocean cleanup either. I think Amazon will probably make more money out of this, but that's okay. At least Amazon has a channel to take that book to the readers. So, I would urge you to pick up that, search online. The best way is if you go to Amazon and you just put Ripi Singh. Luckily, there are not many authors by name Ripi Singh. It'll come right up on the top. So there's some advantage to that. So that's how you can pick up this book. And please buy it, read it, and your money will go towards a good cause. So thank you for that.
Joining us for today's virtual book launch event are a number of folks who have had the benefit of reading the books. I'd like to call on a number of them now to share their own perspectives, perhaps a half a minute or more. The first would be Aaron Peretti. Aaron is the author of the book Today's Innovator, and he has the distinction, the very unique distinction of being the buyer of the very first book from Amazon. Aaron, what are your thoughts?
All right, thank you. I didn't know that. That's great. My thoughts are Ripi lives absolutely true to his pledge of inspiring purposeful innovation in every interaction that he has. And I've seen that in him since I've known him. This is really the first innovation book that I've seen that had a Leonardo quote in it, and not Leonardo da Vinci, but Leonardo DiCaprio. And so I'm really impressed that Ripi was able to work that in. But seriously, the book goes where many other innovation books simply don't go, which is obviously many go with people in process and talk about that, but this marries that with technology purpose, and having a common purpose for what you're doing. So really, that's a special place for an innovation book. And just yesterday, I used one of the frameworks in the book that I hadn't used before. Certainly, I've used Pestle in a lot of places, but yesterday I used Pestle plus P. So thank you, Ripi, for that. It's already coming in handy.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you.
Aaron, thank you for your comments. I'd like now to call upon one of Ripi's Connecticut-based customers, Raghu, who has read the first 2 volumes, and I very much appreciate, Raghu, your your comments.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Can you guys hear me? Hopefully. Yeah. Okay. So I did, I did work with Ripi quite a bit for the last, I think, year and a half, and it's been really great. From a book perspective, it looks like it's a workbook for me. So it kind of walks me through the process of how to implement it. I did read the first book. It's The Purpose of Innovation. And we were able to kind of put a framework together to my management to say, hey, what's your purpose to drive innovation? And come up with a list of things that we could work through. So that was kind of fabulous there. Working on the second book where we said, what's your marketplace are you looking at? How are you driving your innovation? What is the area that's going? So I'm using this as a workflow to drive the whole conversation. It's really great from a perspective of as it is, as it kind of trains you through the process or walks you through the thought process of how to implement it. Thank you, Ripi, for getting that to us.
Thank you, Ravi.
And Ravi, as a customer, no doubt you'd hire Ripi again, right?
Oh, certainly. It's not as a partner customer. It's more an advisor and trying to get that knowledge back. And it's a lot of collaboration that comes in. It's a great experience, I would say.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
The next individual we'll hear from is Weber Garg, and he has been Ripi's longest standing customer in India since 2014. I learned of him from Ripi's acknowledgement in the book. He clearly has an in-depth understanding of all 4 volumes, and I'd like to call upon him to share his thoughts. Thank you.
Yeah, can you all hear me? I would like to share my perspectives as a reader because all of us have heard about how the books work and what goes into the books. So besides rigor in rigor in references and everything else, the key part that comes across to me is the anecdotes and the stories that went into the book, which are a treasure trove of good experience, nice anecdotes that you can teach, humans being storytelling characters. And he does not pull any punches anywhere, while still keeping a bit of humor and a bit of joy and passion into the book. So as a reader, I enjoyed the books a lot. And as a mentor and a coach, obviously the value that we have gained through these books has been immense. And so has been our association. So thank you.
Thank you, Vaibhav.
Vaibhav, I don't know if this was something that you may have experienced, but I can share with you that in my reading of Volume 0, which is the collection of insights rolled up into a summary, as I was reading the words on the page, I could hear Ripi's voice in my head. It was as though he was speaking the words to me.
Right.
Like Ravi also said that at one time when he finished reading the volume 1.
So in the first person, thank you, Ripi.
Welcome.
Next up, we'd like to hear from Johannes Reina, who is a partner with you on the NDE 4.0 grouping from Germany. And my understanding is, Ripi, that he's also writing a new book with you. And I was wondering if Johannes would comment on his motivation to co-author a book with you.
Yeah, it's actually coming from the fact working with Ripi, it always brings both of us new ideas. It's when we talk afterwards, we are both like, okay, we have to change everything because we have so many ideas we're coming up with, and why I think the two of us writing this book about NDE 4.0 will be a really good thing because he brings all his ideas from, getting new ideas out, and I bring all my technology understanding. So I think this will be a perfect match.
Thank you, Johannes. Looking forward to volume 6 or 7, whatever we call.
5, hopefully.
Johannes, like you, I have found Ripi to be an excellent collaborator And so I am not at all surprised that this is a case where 1 + 1 is more than 2.
Thank you, Kevin.
You know, we have a large assembled group on the event, the platform this morning, and I think now would be a great time to open up the forum to all who would wish to share thoughts or have questions for Ripi related to the book or the book series.
Very good. Prashant, we can unmute everyone over here. You know, really appreciate you all having here. There's one person.
Ouais, ouais. Ok, bah écoute, bah, tu sais, on se voit pas beaucoup hein, parce qu'on est en distanciel. Hein.
Okay. I have unmuted everybody. So
Ouais,
whoever wants to speak, they can unmute themselves.
Can you mute Sergey?
ouais. Ouais. Il n'y a pas de problème.
It's like Windows 7.
This was expected to happen.
We need to mute Sergey. S-E-R-G-E.
Ouais, ouais. Ah ouais, ici, tu trouves
It may be easier to mute everyone and then whoever wants to speak unmutes. Just a suggestion.
Okay, very good. I think we got that under control. You know, Kevin, there is one person who would have been very proud of me becoming an author, and that would have been my PhD advisor. His name is Professor A.K. Rao. He's no more. He's not with us. But his son, Prasad Akela, has joined me here. Hi, Prasad. Can you wave your hand? Say hello. I did my PhD with his father 25, 30 years ago. That was the start of a very amazing journey of exploration and expression.
Yeah, I think my dad would have been very proud of you, Ripi. He didn't have the discipline to write the number of books you're writing, so you're taking that journey in a different direction. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I remember when you joined as a young PhD student, you and I are the same age roughly, him commenting on one of my phone calls with him. My last student is amongst the very best I've ever had. So that's high tribute coming from a very picky guy.
Yeah. Thank you so much. You remind me of him all the time.
For those that haven't had an opportunity to comment, I encourage you to use the chat function. But we can close the official portion of the launch event. Ripi has agreed to keep the platform open. The Zoom platform will remain open, and Ripi will remain available until the last participant leaves. So it's been a great pleasure hosting the event. It's been an informative conversation. Ripi, I am so proud of you. Well done.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for hosting it, facilitating it, and thank you all for coming. I'm here.